Alright, welcome back. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining the channel. Today on the bench we have an NAD DVD receiver. This is a L53, and the complaint from the client is no DVD function. Well, I think the DVD functions, but there's no picking up any reads DVD. So we're going to test it out here. Let's see here. Play, pause, stop. Okay. Now the client did not supply the remote, so we're going to be limited to the front buttons controlling this thing. Feels kind of stiff. But let's connect it up and see what it does or doesn't do. I'm just looking at this thing here. DVD receiver, got speakers for left and right, antenna tuner inputs. No HDMI on this. It's pretty dated. This April 2006, so this thing's almost 20 years old, so it's pretty dated as far as, I guess I pick my signal off here, monitor out, do that, and then I can pick my audio off of these two. Yeah, but other than that, there's no other connectivity. S-video and composite and component. Alrighty, I believe I'm all set up here. Let's dim the lights first. Maybe that'll help. Turn this thing on. I can barely read the display, it's so dim. Okay, eject. Open. Let's try pay. My scratched up Pulp Fiction disc. Ooh. Taking a sweet time, that's for sure. There's a lot of interference on the screen. It looks like power supply noise. You see the wavy lines? I don't know if you saw that. A lot of noise on the video coming out. So that tells me you got bad power supplies. Very noisy. Can you see that? It's having a real difficult time. Yeah, I don't think this is not gonna, it says no disk. So let's open it up. I suspect power supply problems. Let's see what it tells us. Alright, the big reveal. Take the cover off. Looks nice and clean. Looks like a little bit of liquid damage here. A little corrosion, liquid damage. I don't know what that's from. That's at the back. So what do we got going on here? Just looking at different caps here, is looks like we probably got some baked ones around here. This is where's the DVD drive? This is probably this is a video board here. It's doing all the switching, but where does the DVD come into play? It doesn't really matter. Anyways, I have a feeling we got some dead caps here. I don't see anything leaking. That's, I have to go through and check. We got a little power supply down here too. Back here, this is all audio amplifier. Looks easy enough to service. This module plugs in. This board has connectors all the way around. We can unplug it. Another power supply back here in the corner. And yeah, we'll have to figure it out. Okay, I'm just going around the board here, checking some caps. Can you see that? 8.7. That's a 2.2 microfarad. That should be alright. 1.5. 14. That is a 10 microfarad 50 volt. That's no good. 14 is not good. Can't see anything here. I'm getting 1.8. 1.8. These ones here between these two regulators looked completely baked, but they're testing. Let's see here. I'm testing about 2. Yeah, so I'm going to have to scrutinize all these caps. Some of them are pretty good. Yeah, some of them are high, some are good. Yeah, interesting. So let's see about some of these here. Yeah, that's high. Another power supply cap. Yeah, I think it's going to need some caps in the power supplies. That's what I'm thinking. So let me get this board out. And I want to get this out too. And we'll test all the caps on this board, and what's underneath it. I can't see. There's another board underneath that's sitting on this riser card. There might be some power supplies underneath here that are cooked. We won't know till we get that board out of the way and have a look. Okay, I just finished recapping this board, this little power supply, and yeah, a bunch of dead caps on this one. These two brown ones here, they're 100 at 16 volt, and they were completely open, these two. All the other ones were weak. It sits like this naturally, and then the heat rises from this regulator. Heat rises and cooked a few of these caps. But this is all fixed now. I can go back in, and I'll turn my attention to this video board here. I bet you I'll find some more dead ones on here. The quality capacitors that NAD uses is not the greatest, gotta say. But we're going to go through and check some of these around here. I'm not going to change them all because there's a lot of caps on here, and it's unnecessary. Like all of these are what do they do? Looks like they're just coupling the video signals or audio signals in and out of the receiver. So, but we'll check some of these and we'll make sure. Like these ones around here will be cooked for sure. I'm pretty sure. Look at the color of these ones. Oh yeah, and then this regulator. This is a 7805 regulator. This one had cracked leads on that. So I'm just looking for that as well. These ones look okay. But look how cooked those capacitors are in there. I wonder if I take one out. Let me take one out right now and do it while I got you here. Even the solder is baked. You have to add fresh. Does not want to come out. It's really pulling it. This is where you edit out all the time. Okay. So what do we got here? 16 at 100 microfarad. It's all baked. Let's see if we can get any reading out of this thing. It measures 16 nanofarads, no 15, dropping like a rock as it cools. I got over 300 kilo ohms of ESR. So that's, that's kind of typical of bait capacitors on these boards, and you gotta get them out and get them replaced. So I'll replace all these around here. That's probably the cause of our issue. This board's pretty dirty. Okay, I just finished reworking this card. All of these caps in this area were all cooked, and I replaced them all. What is it? 8 of them. Started testing all of these. They're all fine. Even the ones back here. There's really no heat back here. But they're fine. I'm going to leave them alone. So 8 caps on this board. And that was kind of a chore because this is a double-sided board, and I actually pulled a via through this one here. I had to put a bodge wire to get it to reconnect to this chip. But it's all fixed now. Okay, so I'm going to go through the rest of the receiver, and we're going to see if we can find anything else. Okay, I got the DVD drive out, and I'm just going to check it over. I'm more concerned about the caps on this board. We're going to take it and give it a quick check. I don't expect to find anything wrong, but we're going to check anyway, and we'll see if we can find any problems here. Alright, I need to pull this tape. Alright, put this aside for now. Just looking for high ESR caps. I think if I turn the lights down, I think you can see better. This one is okay. Yeah, these are all checking out fine. No problems here. 15, that's a 4.7. 25 volt. 15, okay. I'll leave it alone. There's a transistor here. These ones might be a little toasted. .5. That's not good. On 100 microfarad at 6 volts, we should be under 2. Okay, let's put a mark on that one. Might have to change that one. And we're getting into a zone here where there's some transistors. Might be... Oh, that's a dead short. What's going on here? Why is that so low? Shouldn't be that low. there's another one. Let's check this one as well. They're all good, except for those two. Did I check these? $11. That's not great. $21. $17. These two here might be bad. Those are 10 at 16. I think I checked this one already. Yep. Okay. So we got a couple bad ones. So I might just remove these and replace these 4. Let me see about this. I'd like to remove it and test it at a circuit, but I don't know if we can do that. Let's try, where are my tools? Let's try lifting one leg. I know you can just twist and bust them off, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to destroy the legs. I just want to desolder it. So we're just doing it this way. It's slower, but it's, I need some more solder. Okay. It's coming up, it's just slow. All right. Just don't want to rip a pad off, that's the main thing. I don't want to, okay. Now I have orientation is negative, okay. What do we have for capacity? Yeah, this one's definitely down. We got about 12 ohms ESR on a 100 microfarad cap, which is unacceptable. And the capacitance is, as it cools, it's still cooling. It's down at 80 microfarads right now. So it's definitely a bum cap. So I'll take these 4 out and we'll replace them. And we should put this board back in service. Everything else tested fine except for those 4. Now I don't know who made this board or who assembled it, but they made it easy for us. So when you remove the surface mount cap, there's 2 holes here. And if you do continuity check, you can see that they're connected to the pads. You just have to get the orientation right. So that would be negative. The shaded part is negative. And the unshaded part is positive. And they do that on all of these. That makes it easy. So now you can just insert capacitor through these holes. Some new 10 microfarads. These ones you can insert, let's see, this way. But I don't think we have enough room, so I'm going to lay them flat like this. And then solder this up, we can put it all back together. There. Makes it easy. Okay, everything's complete. We got the board back in and plugged in. We're going to clean the laser now. Clean the laser lens. Let's see if we can get in so you can see. Come on, focus. I think you should be able to see that. So you just use a cotton swab and it's dry, no chemicals, and just give it a wipe. I don't know if you can see the difference, but there was a layer of dust on there, and you just wipe the dust off. And then inspect it. Make sure there's no lint. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to put this back in. We've got our clamping plate. Put this back together and then we'll reassemble. Alright, we're back together enough that we can plug it in and test it. If I can find the power cord. Okay, here we go. Alright. Let's turn the lights off. Hope you can see that. Let's play. I'm still getting some interference coming through. It's reading something. That says no disk. Okay, you know what? I'm going to grab another disc. This one's badly scratched. try a CD first. Where do we got a CD here? If I try CD, it'll tell us if the laser's kaput or not. Okay. Might need a new laser, I don't know. Sure is making funny noises. It's like that motor sounds doesn't sound very good. Okay, you know what? Let me try another disc. Alright, I got a Mike Myers disc. Let's try this one. That motor sounds gnarly. Okay. I think we might have a bum motor here. I think the laser is reading it because it's doing some kind of stepping, and let's have a good look at this when we fire it up. We got our cover off. Let's see what kind of light comes out of our... So, I'll hit play. I don't see anything coming out of that laser. Play. Shut it off, turn it on. It's very dim. You can see a red light. Try this again. Turning it on. There's your laser. Okay, you gotta turn it on. I happen to think this motor might be damaged. Let me see. Turn it on. It makes a lot of noise. Watch what it does. Seeks. Well, let's try this again. Okay, turning it on. Okay, You can see our laser. You can hear the motor is making quite a bit of racket. Just trying to focus. Just trying to focus. It gives up. Yeah, I happen to think this motor might have a problem. Let me think about this. Okay, so that last test was unsuccessful. No change in the behavior of this DVD player. Now I looked through the NAD, or the NAD, sorry, service manual, and basically what it boils down to is if you go through the troubleshooting flow chart, and if you have a video problem with the drive, it says you just replace the drive, which is pretty simple. Yeah, just replace the drive. But I continued snooping around. I'm going to dig deeper on this. I pulled this board out. This board was under the video card that was laying above it, and it had 2 dead caps on it. So I replaced those 2 dead caps. It's for a power supply. I don't know what it's for. But they have some Zener regulation, a couple caps, a couple of big dropping resistors here. So that's been taken care of. Pulled out the audio amplifier. Haven't looked at this yet, but I'm going to give this a check over. I see there's a regulator board here on the side, and I can see one crack solder already, so I'll address that. And I'm pulling out this other card here. This one gets fed with the main power, and it has the main power supplies on it. It also has some auxiliary power supplies, caps. I'm going to check all this board out. I'm hoping the issues on this, because this is my last area that I've checked caps on, and I've found dead caps all throughout this thing. So I'm hoping that's the cause. So let me get at it and check these caps out. Although I have a feeling they're all right, but you know, I've seen other caps die, so let's go through it. Okay, I'm back on this board again because I think this is where the problem lays. Like I said before, the service manual is pretty much useless. It tells me if there's a problem with the DVD drive, just to replace the entire DVD drive. It doesn't give you any troubleshooting or any insight as to how to go about tracing signals or anything. It's all just a big black box that they don't service. So I'm back on this board, and actually first what I did is I took this motor out. This is a spindle motor. Took it out and tested it on a power supply. I'm mainly looking for shorted windings or low ohms winding or open winding, and that motor seems fine. So I put it back in. We're going to go with it. It is noisy. Even when I spin it by hand, it's got a noise. I don't know if you can hear it. It should be silent, but I don't think that's the problem. The motor spinning up is going to hopefully the right speed, and everything seems okay. The optical block seems to be working. The laser's not dead. We saw that. It is putting out light. It's trying to do the focus thing. So I'm not suspecting the laser. But I am finding one thing here. These caps are still starting to be a mystery here. So I have 2 caps here. They're both 10 at 16 volts. Let's measure these ones, and I'll tell you what I'm finding here. So this cap measures 0.94. This cap measures 1.92. So this one has twice the ESR as this cap. So that's really suspect. And then I saw the same thing down here. We have this one. This is a 220 at 6 volts, and it's got an ESR of 2.1, which is really high. And then one next to it, 0.66, the one next to that, 2.0. So yeah, the same capacitor shouldn't be that far out on ESR between the different devices. you got to remember, this meter is not very accurate. It's just good for spot checking and finding dead caps. It's not great for measuring ESR, because if I pull these caps out and measure the ESR, they'll be on my other meter. I'll get an accurate reading, more accurate than this thing will ever give. And yeah, see, like I got 3 caps. One of them measures decently or better than the rest. This one's 0.4. A 220 at 6 should be about 0.6. And we're getting 0.4. And then this one is 1.6, which is 3 times higher. This one's 1.8, which is 3 times higher. Here's another 220. Come on. 0.35, which is good. Another 220, 0.33, 100, 0.21. Yeah, so I think I still have dead caps in here. And I think the only way to, I might just have to recap this entire board. It's not something I want to do. There's quite a few caps on here. I'm just going to pick off the worst ones, and we're going to replace those again, and we're going to try it and see if we get any improvement. And we'll just keep going. We might have to recap this whole thing. So here's the first cap I removed. This is a 220, and you can see it's not 220 anymore, it's 169. And as it cools down, it drops in value. See, it's dropping. And as it cools down, the ESR goes up. So ESR is over 3 ohms. This thing should have about 600 milliohms of ESR. So that's the problem with this cap. It's done. So I'm going to change these ones out, and hopefully we get our function back on the DVD. Okay, I've been going through just changing caps, changing the worst ones out. These ones were 220 at 6 volts, and they had an ESR up around 5 or 6 ohms when they should be down probably around half an ohm. So these 4 caps were pretty much gone. But this is a heat area here. There's a transistor, switching transistor. It's a regulator, I am assuming, and it's probably knocking down the incoming voltage for this chip, or maybe the whole thing, who knows. So I replaced 4 of these 220s, but then I got thinking, there was one cap here that didn't measure very good. I wonder if these are all in parallel, because they all seem to have the same reading. Let me get this zeroed out. Zero out my meter. If you measure 0.26, if I go to this one, 0.25, go to this one, 0.27. I wonder if they're all in parallel, because they all have the same reading. Here's another one, the 220 at 6. Let's see if I can get this so you can see it. 1.15. This cap here in the corner is this one, 0.12, 1.1. No, yeah, that's very low. That's very low too. I think that I might have a shorted cap here. Let me take this cap out and see. I'm going to do the twist method. Yeah, I pulled the damn wires out of it. Okay, well, I'll never know if that cap is shorted or not. Let's get rid of this leg. Okay, do we still have... What do we got here? What do we have? 0, 0. We have a short on this line. That shouldn't be that low. Which other cap has 0, 0? We might have to just keep pulling caps until we find the culprit. This one here doesn't even measure. It's 0.34. 02. That's another short. 42, 48. This one here. Let's pull this one out. These are 100 at 6 volts, and I'll probably end up putting 16 volt caps in their place. Okay, let's get rid of these legs. Okay, keep going here. Still 0. We might have a shorted cap here somewhere. See, that's still measuring short, and so is this. That's our problem. So I got to figure out, I got to trace wires. There might be a MLCC here somewhere that's shorted, or it could be one of these transistors, who knows. Okay. And this thing's losing its calibration. Those are okay. That's okay. Let me do some troubleshooting here. I'm going to figure out between ground, this is ground here, and this is ground. Those are in parallel. The two, those are in parallel as well. So I got to figure out where this short is. So give me a little bit of a minute here. Here's the last cap I pulled out. This is supposed to be 100 at 6 volts, and you can see the microfarads is dropping as it cools because I had it hot with the soldering iron. ESR is going up as it cools. It's over 100 ohms right now. I don't know what the story is with this thing. I think it's just a matter of replacing these caps. Do I have to replace them all? I don't know yet. But it seems like a collective failure of all these caps have just caused this board not to work anymore. And I'm hoping that if I replace enough of them, get it back up again. But that remains to be seen. I'm just doing these ones in this area because there is that heat transistor here, and it's discolored from the heat. So all these caps probably needed to go. Is there one specific cap that's causing all this? No, I think it's just all of them are down. So I'll continue replacing these two, and then I think I might get to try it out, plug it in, try it out. Okay, board's back in, ready to do test number 2. Let's see how this, I have a good feeling about this. Let's try it. Oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, we're on the title screen. So we got DVD function now, and it was those caps on that board. I was quite surprised. They weren't completely dead, they were just weak. So we had a board with multiple weak capacitors, and it just would not play. But now I replaced maybe 30%, 20%, and look at this. It's going to town. So, let's see here. Play movie. Yeah, it's working. What I want to do now is go back in and replace the rest of those caps, because I'm not going to leave half of those caps. They're pretty much dead and they're at the end of their life. So I'll replace what's left, and we'll call this a wrap. I'm really pleased about this. This is good. One thing that's going on here is this racket coming from this drive. I'm wondering if I loosen this, move this plate around, it might silence it. Maybe not. Secure this down. The DVD is pretty stable. I can muck around with the disc and it doesn't even lose sync. Okay. Alright, I got it finished. All the caps are changed. It's not pretty, but it's going to work. It's going to work for the next 20 years. But let's get this installed and let's move on to testing it, because I have a feeling it's going to work now. Let's see, this has to be pulled out. You got to make sure it bottoms out and then push the retainer back in. There we go. There's cable here, and then we have now I had to cut a notch out of the plastic here just to fit this cap so it doesn't interfere. Everything is good now. Let's secure this thing down. Okay, just want to make sure nothing's interfering. I have a look underneath, and everything looks good. Alright, reinstall this. Okay, we're back together one last final time. Hopefully the last time I have to take this thing apart. Let's plug it in and give it a shot. The display is a little bit brighter than it was when I first started. That's a good sign. Okay. So I want to make sure we have audio. We do. But there's no. Okay, well, why don't I have control over... Oh, here it goes. We have a bad we got a bad encoder. So it did work. Okay, well this is not good because I have to fix the volume, I guess. Maybe just a matter of cleaning that encoder. This is doing nothing right now. It should do something. It's not doing anything. Okay, I'm going to take the front panel off. We're going to go after this encoder next. So I just want to talk a bit about rotary encoders. I don't know if I brought this up on the channel before or not. I think I've fixed one that had a rotary encoder. But a lot of people have problems with these rotary encoders. And the main problem is from lack of use, right? Because we all have these things that called remote controls, and we're creatures that want to sit on the couch and use a remote control instead of get up, walk across the room and use the knob. And the reason these rotary encoders fail is because they don't get used, and they sit in one position for so many years and they never get turned, and it's just like a regular switch inside. They oxidize, and then you lose connection. But to test the rotary encoder, you just have to get your meter on your beep mode, and there's 3 connections for the switch. There's really no rhyme or reason to which one you test. You just pick any 2, and that one there shows a connection already, right? And then you manipulate the rotary encoder, and you should hear a series of beeps as you rotate both directions. And it might stop on silence, or it might stop on a beep, you don't know. So this rotary encoder is working because I can turn it. And you can test the other connection. Same thing. Now, what it's doing is there's 2 sets of there's a disc with a kind of like a gear-shaped pattern with I should draw it out for you. Okay, there's a disc, and on this disc there's like little notches where there's no connection, like it's insulated, and that goes all the way around the disc. And there's 2 sets of contacts that ride upon the disc. Just finish this and then there's 2 sets of contacts, one here and one here, and they I don't know how they do it. They 2 sets of contacts, and as you rotate this disc one way, these 2 contacts will connect with this disc and make and break a connection, right? Now, these 2 contacts are offset from each other, so that if I turn this thing clockwise, this one will sense it first. Let's say I go clockwise, and then we get a square wave pattern, right, from our rotary encoder, and then we get another square wave pattern just I'm not drawing this right. I'm screwing it all up. So the idea is if you turn it clockwise, this one leads this one every time. Like this one makes connection before this one. And if you go counterclockwise, it's opposite. This one will lead this one. That's how the microcontroller tells which way this disc is being turned. And the microcontroller senses these signals. It knows how far you turned it, and it knows which direction you're turning it. So that's the magic behind that. And this is just a simple switch with 2 contacts. And like I said, after time, these areas where the contact ride will oxidize, and they'll break the connection, and you'll get a situation where you turn the knob and you're not getting your series of ons and offs, right? So we tested it, we know it's working. You use an ohm meter with your beep function and just put it on any old one and you can tell why it's working. Now, if, for example, you have tested this and it's not working, let's say you're not getting consistent beeps or no beeps at all, what you could try is just try turning the knob for about a few minutes, just steady turning both directions, and it might come back. And if it doesn't, you might have to take that rotary encoder apart and clean it with some contact cleaner and deoxit to restore the function. So that's pretty much it for a rotary encoder. It's pretty simple. It's just a switch, and all it does is it senses how far you turned it and which direction. That's all it does. Now, the rotary encoder in this one's working, so the problem lies somewhere else, and it's not the rotary encoder. So we're not going to focus on that right now. We're going to look for the other problem. So I had a look at this here. I was reading this board and it says volume up, volume down, on pin 1 and 2. And I was looking, oh, so I pulled this out and checked it, and it wasn't, it was kind of messed up on the first 2 connections. So I flattened it out and put it back in, and now it's working. Which wasn't making connection before, and that was preventing the volume from working. Now that would have prevented it from working on the remote as well as the front control. But that's sorted now because it is working, and I can show you. You can see here on the turning the volume down, turning it up. So that's fine. Everything's good now. And this is ready to go back to the owner. Okay, it's working, and I'm very pleased with the result of this one.
Forget it, it's too risky. No food doing that shit.
Okay, so I'll shut this off. I don't get copyright. Now, this is what we went into this receiver. These are 19 caps. These were all in power supplies or auxiliary boards. Didn't find anything bad caps in the power amplifier, but I went through and changed out all the bad caps I could find. There's 19 of them, and these are pretty much toast. Some of these are toast. They read down picofarads and nanofarads in the hundreds of ohms, kilo ohms of ESR. Now these are all the bad caps that were on the DVD drive, and there's 28 of them here, and they were all replaced, and same thing, just baked from heat and cooked and no longer doing their job. So replace those, and now we should have another 20 years on this player, so hope it's all good. Alright, take care, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
If you don't give them all your money, I'm going to kill her.
Did it work?
Fucking right, it works.